So let's talk a bit about this then. So you've got some
Yeah.
teacher training coming up in October 2023 this year. What should people expect? What's it going to look like? I know there's only a few spaces left on this one, but I'm sure you'll be doing some more after this. So if you just give us a bit of a view of it, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
So people can show up to this having never done breath work in their whole life,
Okay.
sort of like me. I mean, well, of course, I had some breath work. So when people show up, the very first thing we're going to do is guide people through the 3 day, 7 basic lessons, where each step, each lesson builds on the next to the point where at the end of those 3 days, you have autonomy with the skill, emotional autonomy. You're able to, in yourself, by yourself, efficiently integrate, heal, resolve any negative emotion and stress experience, et cetera, et cetera. And hopefully by the end of that 3 days, that practice, that process is now self-sustaining, self-fueling. Jim used to say that if somebody can get to the point where their efficiency of integration is about once per minute, and again, he's just spitballing here, but about once per minute, the process is self-sustaining because now you see it. You're moving. You realize that suffering is optional. And now it's like in this moment, I'm having this experience. I can either resist it and continue to prolong the agony and the negativity, or I can relax in the presence of it, let go, feel, enjoy all the things we talked about, and get to a place of resolution. You're going from a path of resistance to a path of least resistance, to the path of no resistance, where things become effortless. And so it comes a point where you can't imagine not doing it, and where you realize and it becomes a part of you. It becomes part of what you do in your life every day. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but it's just like here and there, okay, look, I have something going on. Boom. It just spontaneously happens. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. It just becomes part of how you are. You're learning to breathe in terms of the circular breathing. You're learning to breathe in whatever way just honors and feels right in that moment. There's no right or wrong here. Just, okay, you just do it. And so Jim used to say that all the elements essentially become automatic except for the third one, because that's the present moment itself. And so that part, we have to pay attention. We have to show up. But everything else becomes automatic, just like driving a stick shift. First it's like the clutch and the stick, and then your dad's yelling at you because you're not paying attention to the road while you're trying to get the stick shift and the clutch to work. But after a few months, you just drive around the countryside. You don't even think about it. You can just move from gear 1 to 2 to 3, no problem. It's a similar thing that happens when people learn how to do this. And so that's what we're going to do in the first 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to include 4 eyes closed sessions, full 1 hour, deep dive, deep sessions where people can really go in and have those experiences. The fifth session, we do an hour of eye gaze, which is very powerful. And then the 6th session we do is going to be warm water and cold water, and not cold shock water, not ice bath level, 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly. But we're going to be going from hot, 42, 43, 44, 45, into 20 degrees, which is psychologically shocking, but not physically shocking. And because you have Vivation now as a tool, you can efficiently go through that experience, kind of like a sweat lodge. And that experience is often the very thing that has people have that full experience. They have the full, call it an initiation, rite of passage, baptism. There's many different traditions that have words for this type of experience, but it often can be one of the most powerful experiences that people have in their lives, is to go through this hot and cold thing that I've refined and polished over many, many years. So we do that on the 3rd day. And then lastly, we go out into public. We'll go to the hardware store, the grocery store. We'll all go out as a group, and we'll see that you can do Vivation while you're out in public. Because when people think of conscious connected breath, they think of people writhing in agony on the floor. And it's like, no. That's because your practice now, because your skill with this is so efficient, you can integrate stuff as it's coming up while you're in public in the grocery store. Not a problem. Yeah, your practice is going to be different. You're probably not going to do the faster and fuller breathing that you sometimes feel you need to do when you're lying down, but you'll do what you need to do in the moment because that's the moment. And so it's always the right thing. So that's what we do the first 3 days. And then the 4th day, we get together for a little community eye gaze discussion in the morning, but the rest of the day is sort of a day off for people to kind of integrate what they just went through, process it. I'll have everybody reread the book, kind of revisit the book, start looking at the paper, the study materials, and then in preparation for the next day, day 5, where we go into the actual teacher training itself. Mornings are dedicated to the theory, learning how to teach it, learning how to explain it, the pedagogy, learning all of the finer points of this practice and about the philosophy of it and how it actually works. So that anytime a person asks you a question, well, what about this? You have an answer. You can explain it in clear, understandable, believable terms that make sense to that person. That's what we do in the mornings. Afternoons, we're going to learn how to facilitate sessions. So everybody will be pairing up. Each person will be giving the other person a session. And they'll be doing that in the presence of me and a couple of other teachers that are two of the most gifted teachers in the world today. And they're going to be there as well. And we'll be there to, as you're coaching, I'll be able to whisper in your ear, try this, try that. Or people can watch me. I'll go in and maybe say a few things. And so people learn the subtle science, the subtleties and the nuances of how to really be a good coach and when to say something and when not to say something. That's even more important, because what we're trying to do is we're learning sort of how to remove ourselves ultimately and allow this process to unfold for that person. So our coaching becomes delicate. Like you're just, the idea is to the whole goal is to get that to the point where the person is fully autonomous. I always think of it like my dad. When I was 5, he was trying to teach me how to ride a bike, and I'd cry and I didn't like it. And I kept falling and had training wheels. And he gets on the bike and he keeps pushing and pushing. You're doing it. You go, go, go. And I'm furiously bicycling. And then I look back and my dad's like 200 meters back. And I was like, what? It was like a shock. Like he Columbo'd me. He tricked me into riding my bicycle. The story, I can't ride a bicycle, was gone. So this is kind of what we do with Vivation. The idea is we're coaxing, coaching, supporting, facilitating people's autonomy to the point where they can do this on their own efficiently. And so there's an art to that. And it's really hard to explain in words. You have to just be there and be with that person. And when you come here to Wyoming, when we're in sessions working with people, you'll see all that beautiful, exquisite nuance that's involved in doing that. And then evenings are a little bit more playful. We'll be doing a lot of interactive stuff. We're going to be talking about the business aspects of it and marketing. I know a lot of people, that's one of their biggest challenges. Like, hey, okay, I've got this breathwork certification. I'm a Vivation teacher now. How in the heck do I get out there and make a living at it? So we do talk a lot about that. We do some role playing. I have various elevator pitches I can tell people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person is. I have one elevator pitch that will work on 98% of anyone you talk to, and you can get it across in 10 seconds. And that's enough for people to go, okay, what is that? And then it's like, oh, how much time do you have? I have 2 minutes. Okay, fine. And then you can talk for 2 minutes and pass a business card out. So we do that. All that's going to be done in the 10-day immersion training. And then there's 3 months of follow-up after the training for professional support and development for those that want it. We all get together. It's like a reunion of the class. We get together and we have homework assignments. The first month is we ask you to go out and teach the 7 basic lessons to someone, family member, a friend, grab somebody off the street, doesn't matter. It's not about getting paid. It's just getting the practice of teaching it. We all get together. How did that go for you? What were your challenges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The second month, we focus on getting your first paying client. How do you get that paid client? Here's how you do it. Here's, all the ins and outs of that. And finally, the third month is devoted to, wow, I want to do this more often. I want to do it full time, but I have a career. I have a family. How do I transition from my job into doing this full time? And so we show people how to do that. You don't have to quit your job to start doing Vivation and making a good living at it, because you can teach the 7 basic lessons on a weekend. Yes, it's intense because you're doing lesson 1 on Friday night. You're doing 3 lessons and sessions on Saturday, 3 lessons and sessions on Sunday, but you can do it. And I did it for 3 years before I went full time. So that's what we talk about the third month. So the training is complete. It's very important that when people graduate, that they feel supported and have the tools and the skills necessary to go out and make a living at it. And then lastly, once they've gone through all that, they become members of the association. And, we do Zoom calls where all of us teachers get together and we share sessions, we laugh, we do some eye gaze, we do whatever, and talk about our wins and our victories and our challenges. And we help each other out. It's a community we try to offer, and that's ongoing forever. To help people thrive with this. So